Hey besties, if you have ever noticed how one moment can take up way more mental space than it deserves, then this podcast today is for you. Because sometimes our brains can hit zoom in and completely forget how to zoom back out. In our last episode, we talked about those mental reruns, those moments when our minds replay conversations, jump to conclusions, and get stuck in loops that feel overly urgent and completely convincing. When we're caught in that kind of spiral, perspective can feel really hard to find. That's why today, our practice is a gentle brain health strategy called mental time travel. It's a practice that helps us step outside the intensity of a moment and check in with the future version of ourselves. The you of 5 minutes from now, 5 days from now, even 5 years down the road. This practice can be effective because when we widen that lens even just a little, it helps soften that spiral, calm our nervous system, and reconnect us with clarity and compassion. It's a simple tool with a big impact. Are we ready to practice? Let's do it together.
Else that's me. I'm unbreakable, unstoppable.
Okay, you all. Today's practice, again, comes from Dr. Ethan Kross. We talked about him in one of our former episodes, but he is sort of the guru in mental chatter and ways to help our brains when we're stuck in those spaces. So this is called mental time travel, or it can also be called the sort of therapy lingo as temporal distancing, but we'll stick with mental time travel.
Sounds much fancier.
That. Yeah, I do like that. So the whole idea here is helping ourselves and our brains step out of a really intense experience or emotion and get some better perspective to see if we're still going to feel this intensely about it in a matter of time frame outside of that moment, right? Because a lot of times when rumination happens, it's because we're feeling a really intense thing at that exact moment. And what we know about feelings is they don't last forever. So if we can get some perspective, it helps our brains reorient into more clarity and calm. Doesn't get rid of it, but can just help us reset a little bit. Okay. So I would love to run through this practice with you all and see how it lands, what fits, what doesn't, and everything in between. Good?
I'm excited to time travel.
Okay. So what I'm going to ask of first, and if one of you don't mind sharing, this would be helpful. Give me an example of a time when you did get stuck in those running thoughts. And we can use an example that is, Shelby, if you want to use the same example used in the last episode, that's completely fine. So do you want to remind us what that example was?
Yeah. So I, probably 2 years ago now, maybe a year ago, I don't really remember, attended a meeting and had a really negative experience with a coworker. Mm-hmm. And I still to this day continually get stuck in that loop. If I see her in the hallway or if we have meetings with them or whatever, I will get stuck in that loop of I could have done that better or it could have gone better.
Okay. And so take a second to maybe pause and take a deep breath. And if you've got one in your mind as well, you're welcome to do this too. And then now that you pulled up some of the details of that experience, take a second to just in your brain, you don't have to say it out loud, think about how you were feeling about that and what that experience was like. And if you want to share, you can, but you don't have to. And then maybe use the distance self-talk that we did in episode, I think that was 4, to reframe this in the third person. So Shelby was feeling angry, frustrated, disrespected, whatever it is that you were feeling at that time. Okay. So you're adding some language and validating or taking that moment to recognize what you experience. Because then step 2 is to validate it. So we have to know what we were navigating or experiencing in order to say like, oof, okay, Shelby, it's completely normal that your brain is ruminating on that thought, or it's completely normal that you're fixating or thinking about this situation over and over because your brain doesn't want it to happen again. Your brain is just trying to keep you safe. So what we're doing is we're taking a moment to validate that experience, okay? Okay, so do that in your brains a little bit. Okay, once we're there, we're going to move on to step 3. So now we're going to think of a future version of yourself. Again, using that distance self-talk, so referring to yourself in the third person or by your name. Think about Shelby 5 minutes in the future. how she'll feel about that, how that meeting went, or 5 days from now, 5 months from now. Maybe Shelby 5 years from now has a different perspective on the whole situation. And let her step in to talk a little bit. And so maybe that might look like, Shelby, will this situation feel this intense in 5 months? Or will this relationship with this coworker be so important in 5 years? And just allow yourself to kind of use that self-distance talk, but then also this mental time travel of, when I'm out of this intense emotion or this intense experience, will it still matter as much as it does now? Okay. So once you've got that, the hope and idea is that there comes with a maybe not even reduction of the intensity, but some perspective and understanding that I am feeling this intense thing right now, and I'm likely it's not going to feel this hard 5 minutes from now. Okay. So thoughts, observations.
I think the validation piece was super important for me because I am often very hard on myself and will just get stuck in, I will get stuck in the rumination, and then I will get stuck in, why are you stuck on this? And just keep going and going and going. So validating that, of course I felt this way, or of course that caused me to pause or whatever, was very helpful. And then just the thought that, like, in 5 years, it's not going to matter, you know, like it probably didn't matter to that person in the moment. And if I just continue to get stuck on it and stuck on it and stuck on it, it's not doing me any good. And then in 5 years, it just really won't matter anymore.
Yeah. I think the validation piece to this practice is absolutely key, because if we skip that step 2, that validation part, it can feel very positive Polly, like it can
good
feel
vibes only.
Yes, it can feel very much like, oh, it's not even gonna matter. Well, that doesn't change the fact that it's a challenging experience in this moment. So the validation piece is really, really key in being able to get to that next step. I personally get stuck if I skip the step of validation.
100%. Yeah, I think that's what it was for me. It was, oftentimes we get to these certain feelings, though we might think already, well, okay, 5 years from now, but to be able to like actually put the steps into place and to take a pause with them is really beneficial. You know, again, sometimes our world gets fast. Our world gets fast and we just want to get past the things, but to be able to have actual steps in place and be able to kind of give ourselves that time to be in each one of them is lovely.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is one that I'll hopefully remind myself to use in the future. So it's hard in those moments when we're stuck in the spiral to come back to these things. But I think practice beforehand would probably be really helpful so that when it happens, I can go through those steps and that validation piece in particular.
And mental time travel just feels kind of fancy.
It does.
It feels like a little trip for yourself.
It's special. That's
Hop
right.
into your time
That's
machine,
special.
friends. We're going. All right, besties, this is a practice that is best used in repetition. So get the reps in, try this out before that rumination happens so that when it occurs, you're already practiced, you got the reps in, and you're ready to go. We're so thankful that you chose to care for your brain health today, and we can't wait to see you again next time. Take care, besties.
else that's